Morning. The time now is 8:34. You're watching ClickOrlando.com, continuing coverage of the Noor Salman trial. Of course, Noor Salman, the widow of the Pulse nightclub gunman. I'm Bridget Ellison here with longtime federal attorney Rick Jansha. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Well, good morning.
And yesterday, court wrapped up for the week. We know that some jury instruction is happening today, but a lot has happened. The prosecution rested its case, and there were so many new developments.
Absolutely.
You were in the courtroom.
Yes, I was. What's interesting is there's a couple things happened yesterday. Number one, the government presented a summary witness, the individual who did all of the cell tower pings, and did a PowerPoint presentation connecting where Mateen was and where Salman was in the couple weeks leading up to the event and on the night of the event, and coordinated that with her statement that she gave to law enforcement to show that what she said in her statement was actually factually correct. Now, one of the big issues that came up, though, however, is in her statement, Noor Salman said that they actually, I think it was June 9th, after going to a restaurant in Orlando, they went and toured Pulse for about 20 minutes, drove around with their windows down.
That's what the statement says.
That's what the statement says, but the cell site monitors show that they never did. That they were down in Kissimmee at a restaurant.
Is there a probability that something went wrong with the cell phone data?
Not really, because they had them pinging at the restaurant, and then 40 minutes later at the same restaurant, and even the government's expert indicated that they could not have gone from where they were to Pulse, driven around Pulse, and gotten back to that location in that time period.
Without another ping?
Yes. So
this is a big hole.
It's a really big hole that gives the defense their argument that parts of the statement aren't true. And what's also interesting is the defense yesterday filed requested a bond because the government, when it sought the detention and Noor Salman was let out in California on bond. Judge Byron revoked the bond here and has had her detained pending trial. One of the reasons that the bond was revoked is the statement that she actually went around Pulse with her husband and basically cased the place where the crime was to occur. It came out yesterday through the expert that that couldn't have happened. Therefore, the defense argued that the government withheld exculpatory evidence and that she should be entitled to a bond now. And I know the judge was very concerned about that issue. You know, whether or not that'll be addressed today, prior to the jury.
You have this motion to acquit, throw it all out, and a motion to get her bond.
Yes.
What do you see Judge Byron doing with this?
Well, the motion for judgment of acquittal, it was very well written, very well prepared, but the motion was written in the light most favorable to Ms. Solomon, and that's not the standard. In order for the judge to grant a motion for judgment of acquittal at the close of the government's case, the court must look at the evidence in the light most favorable to the government and draw any reasonable inferences from that in favor of the government. And then the judge must rule that the jury, no reasonable juror could find her guilty of that offense based upon that evidence. And there's enough evidence presented by the government that there's enough to go forward to the jury, in my opinion, drawing all reasonable inferences in favor of the government. Now, at the conclusion of the defendant's case, they will make a motion for judgment of acquittal again, and that will consider all of the evidence that's been presented. So his ruling today...
So they're trying it. They're trying it because they have to try something.
Absolutely. I mean, in every trial, every trial, you make a motion for judgment of acquittal at the close of the government of the state's case.
What do you see happening, Monday when everything resumes and the defense starts, their case? They're expected to have 8 to 10 witnesses up there. Where do you see them starting or focusing most? I
think they'll probably start with Noor Salman's education and her records, that she was slow, not an honor student, far from it. Then they'll present evidence concerning her psychological testing and try to bring that into the fact that she was of lower intelligence and made her susceptible to false confessions. They'll also bring in that she gave factors based on this mental examination that she was an abused spouse. That would also make the argument more readily available to them that she wasn't a knowing participant with Omar Mateen, but just went with him because, of the years of abuse that she suffered by him.
And at the same token, when, we talked yesterday, you felt like the prosecution made a great case at the end.
Prosecution tied it all together at the very end, in my opinion, with this cell tower expert and comparing the receipts, the videos, and showing exactly what transpired. I think tied all of the voluminous evidence together so in a nice little package so that the jury could say, okay, now we understand this case. Now we understand what she did, what he did, and what they did together.
Okay, so we'll have to see what happens moving forward. Of course, the jury instructions today. Are there any other developments that we expect to come out of today, even though court's not in session?
Not really. The only thing today is jury instructions, possibly, the motion for bond.
Response.
I seriously doubt that the judge would hear the motion for judgment of acquittal without giving the government the opportunity to file its written response with authorities, legal authorities. So I would anticipate that quite possibly the motion for judgment of acquittal will be taken up on Monday.
Okay, Rick Chansha, thanks for being with us. I'm Bridget Ellison. Please join us again at 12:30 right here on clickorlando.com for continuing coverage and updates of the Noor Salman trial.